All right, so example one, for each of the following cases, describe the population, sample, population parameters, and sample statistics. So on A, agricultural inspectors from Jefferson County measure the levels of residue from 3 common pesticides on 25 ears of corn from each of the 104 corn producing farms in the county. And so what the population is, what's the overarching group that we're trying to represent, or what's the overarching group we're trying to represent? So in this case, the population would be the all ears of corn grown in the county, because this is the overarching population that we're trying to represent, all ears of corn grown in the county. The sample is what is selected, or some case who's selected. So it's just the group that's selected. In this case, the sample is the each of the measure of level residue from each of the pesticides on 25 ears of corn from each of the 400. So in this case, this is 25 ears of corn from each of the 104 corn producing farms in the county. So 25 ears of corn from each of the 104 corn producing farms in the county. Okay, the population parameter is what are we trying to see? What's the overall number of interests that we're trying to describe as certain characteristics of population? So what does that mean? That is what are we trying to figure out? Let's just dumb it down. What are we trying to figure out? What we're trying to figure out is the average level of residue from each of the 3 pesticides on all corn grown in the county. So the population parameter is the average, whoops, sorry about that, average amount of residue, or average level of residue from each of the 3 pesticides from all corn grown in the county. Grown in the county. A lot of writing in here. And finally, the sample statistics. This is going to be what comes from the statistics that come from the sample. So this is going to be the average amount of residue from the ears of corn in the sample. So the average level of residue from corn in the sample. Okay. Let's go to B. A lot of writing on this one. Anthropologists estimate the average brain size of early Neanderthals in Europe by studying skulls found at 3 sites in southern Europe. So the population is all early Neanderthals in Europe. So the population is all early Neanderthals in Europe, because that's the overarching group that we're trying to represent. Now, what is the sample? The sample is who's selected. So they're trying to estimate. So they're studying. So that's in this case, it's going to be the selected skulls that were found at 3 sites. So the sample is going to be the selected skulls found at the 3 sites. Okay. The population parameter. Okay, so what are we trying to determine? What's the overarching thing we're trying to determine is the average brain size of all Neanderthals. So it's the average brain size of all, so the population of all Neanderthals. And then the sample statistics is going to be the size of the skulls from those selected. So the average of the selected skulls. So the population parameters, like what's this real answer we're trying to estimate? The sample statistic this is going to be an estimate for that, but this comes from the sample. So hopefully that helps you make some sense.